What is the song Old Folks about?
Well, it's about old folks. First of all, it's a poking fun at myself. Um, there's kind of three sections in the song. There's the I don't know if I was jaded or if I just faded. Um, Never thought that it would happen. I guess it just happens. Always thought that I would notice, but there was no notice. They're all saying the same thing, which is that you go along and in your mind, you're young, your heart, hopefully, you're young, and the world, it's really easy for the world to make you jaded. I don't know if I was jaded or if I just faded. I never thought of myself as jaded. I always think of myself as pretty optimistic. But like the longer you go along, the more you have kind of losses or failures, and it's really, I think probably the struggle of life is to fight, and I think you do have to kind of fight to stay optimistic, and that's sort of when you're young, that kind of comes naturally, I think, because everything is new and everything has never happened before. So youth has the advantage of optimism. So that's that one phrase. The other section I remembered that is actually a true story. During the pandemic, we met this friend, a friend of a friend, and it was this gal, and she was a young songwriter, and she was just kind of starting out writing songs, and we went out for lunch or something with her, and she was so optimistic, and I remember thinking she was so happy about writing songs and just getting up and doing open mics and stuff like this, and I thought, man, I remember thinking to myself, man, she's so like happy and stuff, the next day I was like, wow, I really have become jaded if I'm not like able to see her excitement or see the world through her eyes, that like playing music and getting up in front of a bunch of people that don't know you and singing a song is something new. So I thought, wow, I've become jaded. And so that the line in there is actually a totally true story, that you'll be sitting in a corner of a bar someday and some kind of 20 something's going to sit down next to you and say, life is perfect. Life is just a gift. And she seemed to have that. And I was like, man, I've like totally become exactly what I don't want to become, like jaded, So that song, that is totally an accurate and true thing that actually happened. And that kind of sparked that section, because the song is kind of the old folks, which is not really what I say, the old F things that I say, folks, rhymes with folks, the old got nothing to say except for kids these days. That hook I had kind of like floating around in my head for some time, then couldn't figure out really what to do with it. And then I don't know if I was jaded. Then those kind of pieces came together, and then that bridge or pre-chorus part of you'll be sitting in a corner of a bar someday was the true story. And then I couldn't figure out how to tie it all back together. And then that's when it happened to be during the pandemic that this was all happening, which was in 2020. And that's when one thing you ain't got when you're 20 is 2020. That hook, it just popped out of the ether. It must be that I think songs like this are just in the universe. And anyways, that's how, but it's really about the struggle to not, the song is really like old people, talking about, the kids these days, and nobody knows how to work, all this kind of things. When you in our touring business, we get to tour with younger people all the time, and it's a constant reminder that anybody who says that there's no music out today, or there's no good music, music sucks, it's so easy to fall into that instead of just like being interested and being like, well, what are these people, what are these kids doing that, look, these artists have, huge followings, or, the people are super excited about them, and it's really, instead of, I'm guilty of this, I'm guilty of, being jaded about it, and I have to force myself to be like, all right, let me find something that's interesting about these kids, or why they're doing this, and what they're what people are connecting with, and I always sort of think I've got it in this category of like, well, it's the youth, the exuberance and the excitement and the newness of youth that like that wavelength comes across when you're young. And yeah, so that's I think the trick is to not get jaded. So it's my gift to all the people that are my age, still trying to find their new favorite band. That's my gift, and it's also my reminder to myself to not fall into that trap.